This video found you when you were ready to change. Maybe it's a bank app you keep closing without reading. Maybe it's a number in your head you haven't said out loud to anyone. Stay for the next few minutes, because none of what follows asks you to earn more, sacrifice more, or become someone stricter than you actually are. Here's the shift nobody tells you about. Wealth isn't built in the big moments. It's not the raise, the bonus, the lucky trade. Those things happen to a small number of people. And even then, they rarely stick unless something underneath has already changed. What actually moves the number over years is boring. It's the $4 decision you make without thinking, repeated 500 times. It's the account you never look at, quietly doing its job while you live your life. Most people chase the dramatic fix because it feels like progress. Checking your balance obsessively feels like control. Neither one moves anything. What moves things is structure, decisions you make once that then make themselves forever. Think about the difference between someone who decides every single week whether to save and someone who set up an automatic transfer 3 years ago and forgot about it. Same income, wildly different outcomes. Not because one person has more willpower, because one of them removed the decision entirely. That's the real subject of this video. Not discipline, not budgeting spreadsheets, not deprivation. Small, specific habits that take the decision out of your hands so your future self doesn't have to fight for it every day. 7 of them. Each one takes minutes to set up. The first one is probably not what you expect, and it starts with something most people think is a personality trait, not a system. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why do some people save consistently without seeming to try, while others white-knuckle every paycheck and still come up short? The honest answer, based on how behavioral researchers have studied this for decades, usually isn't motivation. It's friction. Willpower is a finite resource on any given day. You spend it avoiding the second coffee, resisting the sale email, talking yourself out of the impulse card at checkout. By the time you're deciding whether to move money into savings, you've likely already spent the mental energy the decision needed. This is why just be more disciplined fails almost everyone who tries it as a strategy. It's not a character flaw. It's a design flaw in how the advice is framed. The fix isn't more discipline. It's fewer decisions. Every financial choice you make in a moment, do I save this? Do I spend this? Do I check this? Is a chance to lose. So the people who build wealth quietly aren't the ones winning that fight more often. They're the ones who stopped having to fight at all. They build a system where the good choice happens automatically before willpower is ever needed. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't negotiate with yourself each night about whether it's worth the effort. It's just what happens because the behavior got moved out of the decision-making part of your brain years ago. Money habits can work the same way, but only if you build the structure first, deliberately, one time. So what does that structure actually look like in practice? It starts with something almost embarrassingly simple. A single rule you apply the moment money arrives, before you ever see it as spendable. Most people treat saving as whatever's left over after bills, groceries, rent, and the small pleasures that make a month bearable. The problem is obvious once you say it out loud. There's rarely anything left. Not because people are careless, but because spending expands to meet whatever's available. This is sometimes called Parkinson's law applied to money, and it's remarkably consistent across income levels. People making 6 figures and people making $40,000 a year both report the same feeling of there's just never extra. The habit that quietly breaks this pattern is treating savings like a bill you owe yourself and paying it first, automatically on the day income arrives before you see the number in your checking account. Now what's left over? First, here's how it works practically. Most banks and employers let you split a direct deposit or set up an automatic transfer that fires the same day your paycheck lands. Even a modest, fixed amount, money that moves before you've had a chance to mentally claim it as spendable, tends to get saved. Money still sitting and checking on day 12 of the month has a way of finding a reason to leave. This isn't about the amount. It's about the order of operations. A A small transfer you never think about will, over a year, outperform a large intention you renegotiate every week. The habit isn't save more. It's decide once, and let the decision remove you from the process. But automating the outflow only works if you're not quietly working against yourself somewhere else, in the one place almost nobody audits, because it doesn't feel like spending at all. There's a specific kind of spending that doesn't register as spending. It doesn't involve a decision, a cart, or a moment of should I. It just happens. The same charge, the same date, month after month for something you signed up for once, and then mentally filed away as free because you stopped seeing it. Streaming services stacked on top of each other. An app subscription from a free trial you forgot to cancel 2 years ago. A gym membership for a gym you haven't entered since a resolution that didn't survive February. Individually, each one looks harmless. $9, $15, $20. That's the trick. No single charge is big enough to trigger scrutiny. But stacked together, recurring charges are one of the most common places where money quietly leaks out of a budget without ever showing up as a purchase in your memory. The habit here takes about 15 minutes, and it's not a diet, it's an audit. Once a quarter, pull up your bank or card statement and actually read every recurring line item. Not skim. Read. For each one, ask a single honest question. If this charge disappeared today, would I notice within a week? If the answer is no, cancel it. You're not being asked to give up things you love. You're being asked to stop paying for things you already left behind. People who do this once are often surprised by the total. Not because any one subscription was outrageous, but because the sum of forgotten things is almost always larger than expected. And that number, redirected, is real money with nowhere to hide. But cutting waste only protects what you already have. The next habit is about how you handle money in the moment it's about to leave your hands, before it becomes a subscription, a purchase, or regret. Marketing exists to collapse the space between wanting something and buying it. Same-day delivery, one-click checkout, only 2 left in stock. Every piece of that experience is engineered to get you from impulse to purchase before your slower thinking has time to catch up. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's the stated goal of conversion design, and it works because it's built on real psychology. Decisions made quickly, under mild urgency, bypass the part of the brain that asks, do I actually need this? The counter habit is almost insultingly simple, and that's exactly why it works. For any non-essential purchase above a threshold you set for yourself, wait 24 hours before buying it. Not forever, not a guilt trip, just a pause imposed on purpose in a system designed to remove pauses. Put in your cart, close the tab, and revisit it tomorrow. Often the desire has faded entirely, which tells you it was the moment talking, not a real need. Sometimes you still want it the next day, and that's fine too. You buy it deliberately with a clear head instead of a reactive one. Either outcome is a win, because either way, you made the decision instead of the decision making you. This works because urgency is almost always manufactured, not real. A sale that ends tonight will be replaced by another sale next week. A cart that expires will let you add the item right back. The scarcity is a design choice, not a fact about the world. And once you see that clearly, it loses most of its power over you. Slowing down the outflow matters. But there's a mirror image habit on the inflow side, one about what you do the moment extra money shows up, because that moment is more dangerous than people realize. A tax refund, a bonus, a gift, money that arrives outside your normal rhythm feels different in your head than a paycheck. Researchers who study this call it mental accounting. And the practical effect is that windfall money gets spent far more loosely than earned income, even though it's worth exactly the same amount. This is why bonuses so often vanish into things you can't quite remember buying, while a raise of the same size, spread across 12 paychecks, barely registers as spendable at all. Same dollars, completely different outcome, purely because of how the money arrived and how your brain filed it. The habit is a simple rule. decided in advance before the money shows up. Split any windfall the moment arrives, using a fixed ratio you choose ahead of time. Something like half saved or invested, half genuinely free to enjoy. The order matters as much as the ratio. Move the save portion out of reach first into a separate account before the spendable half ever gets a chance to feel like extra in your checking account. This isn't about denying yourself the bonus dinner or the trip. It's about making sure windfalls actually change your position instead of just changing your month. A habit like this, applied consistently over the unpredictable extra income most people receive across a working life, adds up to something structurally different from a life where every windfall gets absorbed and forgotten. Deciding the ratio in advance matters more than it sounds like it should. And that same principle, deciding before the moment instead of during it, applies even more sharply to the biggest purchases you'll ever make. Small leaks matter, but they're not where financial damage usually happens fastest. The real risk sits in a handful of large, infrequent decisions. The car, the apartment, the big purchase, made in the moment, under social or emotional pressure, without a number decided in advance. Car dealerships, leasing agents, and landlords are often very good at one specific thing: shifting the conversation to monthly payment instead of total cost. It's only $300 a month feels manageable in a way that $18,000 over 5 years, plus interest, does not, even though they're the same number, just framed differently. The habit is this: before you're in the room, decide your ceiling as a percentage of income, not a monthly figure, and write it down somewhere you'll actually see it again. Many financial planners suggest housing stay under roughly 30% of take-home pay and total vehicle costs under a small single-digit percentage. The exact numbers matter less than having any number decided in advance before a salesperson or a leasing office reframes the conversation around what feels affordable in the moment. Decide the number when you're calm, not when you're sitting across from someone whose income depends on you saying yes. Once it's written down, your job in the room isn't to calculate. It's just to check the offer against a number you already trust. That habit protects the big decisions. But there's one more habit that ties everything else together, the one that decides whether any of this actually lasts. Here's what nobody says clearly enough: none of the previous 6 habits survive without something to check them against. You can automate savings, cancel subscriptions, wait 24 hours, split windfalls, and set spending ceilings, and still drift quietly over years if nothing ever forces you to look at the whole picture at once. The final habit is a fixed, recurring appointment with your own numbers. Once a month, on the same day, for 15 minutes, not longer. This isn't meant to become a burden. You look at everything: what came in, what went out, what moved into savings, what the subscriptions cost you this time. Not to judge yourself, to notice. This single habit is what catches the others quietly failing. Maybe the automatic transfer got turned off during a bank switch 8 months ago and you never noticed. Maybe a new subscription snuck in. Maybe your income changed and your ceiling number didn't. A monthly check-in is the only habit on this list whose entire job is to catch the other 6 drifting. And drift, left unchecked, is how good systems quietly stop working without anyone deciding to stop them. Put it on a calendar, recurring, same day, every month, treated with the same seriousness as a bill. Because that's what it is: an appointment with the only person whose money habits actually determine where you end up. None of these 7 habits are dramatic. None of them require more income, more discipline, or more hours in your day. What they require is that you set them up once deliberately while you're thinking clearly, so that on the days you're not thinking clearly, the system holds anyway. That's the actual definition of quiet wealth. Not a windfall, not a lucky year, but a life where the good decision got made automatically, long before you had to fight for it.